Welcome back to Launch Your Light, a podcast that covers the soul and strategy of running a business and sharing your heart's work with the world. I am so excited to bring you another beautiful guest onto the show here today to hear about her soul purpose and what she's doing in the world. Today, we're going to hear from Royletta Romain. She is a registered dietitian with 30 years of experience working with inpatient and outpatient settings. She studied nutrition at Simmons University and completed her dietetic, right,
Right.
internship focusing on food service and individual counseling. What I love about this is after suffering from muscle and joint pain for years due to being hit by a car while walking in 2014. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear about that. She found the solution. She was led to trying out the LEAP protocol, that is lifestyle eating and performance. And this has changed her life. She had significant improvements within 5 days. Oh my God, it paved a path for her to become certified and to start her own private practice. Royletta, welcome to the show.
Jayme, excited to be here.
So excited to talk to you today. And you are up in Boston, my hometown. So this feels so good to have another
Up and
Boston.
down. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So listen, I love to go right into talking it to people about like, this was your purpose. Like, how did this come about? And a lot of times the earth classrooms that get us to purpose are through pain.
Absolutely. And I had
So
a lot of it.
so tell me, maybe like, so you were a registered dietitian, you were doing that, and then you got hit by a car. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, how did this lead you to like what happened? What's the story here?
So I was actually headed to work one morning. I was getting my dry cleaning and getting ready to walk back to the car, and I got hit by a car while I was walking. Um, Ambulance ride, first ambulance ride, hopefully the last ambulance ride, it changed my life
Wow.
immediately. Um, thank God I didn't, need surgery or anything like that, but pain everywhere, all over my back, some arm pain, um, high back pain, neck pain. It changed my life. There was a lot of presenteeism at work where I was just like, I just got to make it through the day. I got to make it through
Mm,
the day. And that went on for years with OT, PT, medications, grogginess, ickiness, exhaustion.
mm,
And then um, fast forward to last year, a fellow dietitian of mine, my mentor actually, she's like, "Why haven't we tried this before?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she told me about this program, which is lifestyle eating and performance. And at that time, I was just like, "Well, I know what food does wonders because I'm a dietitian." But at that point, I was just like, "Whatever, like let's just do it because whatever. Like I'm at my wit's end. I need something."
and then what happened?
And then,
Right?
so,
Like, ooh, it's so tantalizing.
I know.
Sorry.
So, that's so funny. So I then took a blood test, and it tells me what foods cause inflammation specifically for me. And
Mm,
being a dietitian, everybody's like, "Oh, you have some salmon, you add some berries, like chocolate, those anti-inflammatory foods." Well, guess what? They're not for everybody. Like
mm,
a really healthy food everybody was eating, kale.
mhm,
Kale, I was eating kale. I liked kale, but it does not like me. I
mhm.
haven't had kale since I took this test, and I feel so much better. That's just one of the foods, and it cracks me up because I tell people eat it all the time. It is a good food. It's a good food to some people, but not a good food for all people. So, um, that was just one of the foods that I stopped. I have a list. Everybody gets a list and this cute little card to put in your wallet, and lots of education from a dietitian. Um, and then I was just like, I can't even believe it. I just can't even believe how much better I feel. Mhm.
So what was the thing about 5 days?
So I actually started feeling better in 5 days. Not
Wow.
100%, but significantly enough that I was just like, something is happening here.
Mm,
So, I get up in the morning, I'd sit on the edge of my bed, I'd be like, okay, okay, okay. And then finally I get up, I get in the shower, and okay, okay, But now alarm goes and I get right out of the bed, unless I'm just feeling lazy.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just hop right out of the bed. No, no problems anymore. Just get up.
So 5 days later, and then what was the next significant moment when you're like,
So,
"Okay, this is
probably
it."
2 weeks.
Wow.
Most people feel a difference, and within 2 weeks, and some people have 3 or 4 months, and it just really depends on how much you're eating of different of your trigger foods, and it depends on how closely you follow
Mhm.
what the dietitians are giving you. But yeah, I was all for it. I just went straight in. Like I was just like, I'm gonna take the the minimum of what I'm supposed to have,
Mhm.
and that's all I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And I was just like, I feel so much better.
Oh my god, and the pain. So even with this, and we're talking right now, we're talking, like you said, trigger foods, you're a dietitian.
Mhm.
Within this, you following this procedure, your pain levels
Mhm.
started to go down?
That was reducing the inflammation in
Yeah.
my body.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I give you your foods that cause you inflammation, and we work on. I don't work on. We take them out, but I focus on what you can eat. I
Love
help
it.
you figure out
Love it.
what's going to make it work for you. Because I mean, a lot of times you'll get papers from doctors or whatever. They'll say these are the foods that you need to avoid.
Yeah.
But how? What am I doing with this piece of paper?
Right.
Like, what happens when I walk out of this office? Like,
Mhm.
a dietitian is there to guide you and help you figure out, like I said, what you can eat, so that is actually you're more likely to stick with it, and you're more likely to continue to feel great.
You know what I think of when I'm hearing you speak is like how many Americans live in pain. Constant pain, regular pain, whether it's situational or just over time. And then how many people don't understand that it's actually inflammation has so much to do with that. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Inflammation is all over our bodies. I mean, you can think about migraines, diabetes, heart disease. It's inflammation only worsens it. So if we can knock out the inflammation, getting you eating better for inflammation reasons, and then getting you better as far as like if you have high cholesterol, we get your fiber up, we get your fluid up, and we start working on getting rid of not only the inflammation but getting rid of the cholesterol and everything.
wow.
Mhm.
Okay, so you did this procedure and then you were like, okay, I'm in. And what'd you do? Did you quit? Did you go get certified? How was that process?
So I did get certified. So dietitians are the only people that are eligible to become certified leap therapists, because we have the food knowledge, we have the education, um,
Brilliant.
we also have the counseling, the food counseling knowledge to be able to help you, instead of again giving you a list and say go
Yes.
at it. I already had obviously that support and that counseling, because I've been doing it for years. But now, just another step. I took the exam, and then now I can meet with people, get their results, and then we sit and we go through and figure out what they can eat. And what's really key about this is that a lot of times people will say again, I don't know, the doctor says, okay, you're not supposed to eat squash, peas, and whatever. So you just take out those three foods. But what happens if those are possibly the worst foods, but then there are also all these other foods that you might have some other reactions from.
Mm.
So we test. This test looks at 170 foods and 30 chemicals, and we start with the basics. We start with
Wow.
the foods that really work with your body, and then we will add different foods, because the supermarkets, depending on the size of the supermarket, have between 15,000 and 60,000 different foods.
Mm.
So if I tell you just to stop eating two foods, chances are you'll feel some improvement, but you're not going to feel all the improvement that you can get because there are all these other things that are
Mhm.
flying in. So we just kind of put it on an even keel, and then we start getting you feel better, and then we add different things.
In your experience working with people, how many people like and really want and are craving the need to just sit down with someone and like literally have their hand held through this? And I mean that in a beautiful way. Like,
Mhm.
help me with this. I don't get this. Like that's what you do. What's
Mhm.
the response from your clients when they get that attention from you?
They get the list and they're just like, oh, what am I going to do? And I'm like, don't worry, I'm going to be here with you. I will help you figure out menus. I will help you go through different foods that you love. Try to help you find some substitutions. But we have to start at the bases, and then we move on from there. And they're like, "You're gonna help me. You're gonna help me." I'm like, "Yeah." So I get texts, I get emails and things like that. But I'm like, that's what I'm here for because it's if you don't know a lot about food, you don't know what you're doing, and it's very overwhelming. So it's my job, my pleasure to help you figure out how to do this, especially nowadays. I mean, you look. I was looking at some meme, and I was just like, sadly, that's true. It was a container of bacon, and one of the instructions was take the bacon out of the packaging. Like, really? Like, why do we have to why do we have to tell people that? But it's so true. There's so many people that you're
Mhm.
you're just like, okay, you need the help. Like I have this chicken. Now what do I do with it?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I'm here to tell you what to do with it and how to fit it into your plan if it's not one of your trigger foods. Yeah.
So, right before we started recording, you told me like you left what a six-figure job to
Mhm.
go off and do this.
Mhm.
And that's what I call it a calling. Like when you are called from deep within yourself
Because
to go
I just
off and
can't
do this
believe
thing.
it. I just cannot believe it. I mean, again, I've been a dietitian forever, so I know that food helps us feel better, and I know this, but it's just so mind blowing to me that I was eating things that weren't good for me.
Mhm.
And like I said, I was just like at the end of my rope, I was just like, okay, whatever. Like if you're gonna tell me that kale is not a good food for me, whatever. I'll just stop eating it because I just don't
Mhm.
even care at this point. I just
Mhm.
need I just need relief. I need help. I don't want to take any more medications. Tired of going to doctor's office. I'm tired of going to physical therapy, occupational therapy. I'm tired of taking medicine and being groggy. So, and not to mention the cost of all those co-payments and the
Right.
all the medications and the cost of those medications to my stomach and to my liver.
Yeah.
Like, I was all set.
Can I
Um,
ask you, how much of that were you able to release? The OT, the PT, the medications, how much of that have you been able to let go of?
I don't have regular appointments anymore.
Awesome.
I don't need to. I mean, there are
Awesome.
there are occasions where I'm just like, because I've also upped my exercise because I can actually move now. But sometimes
Yes.
like, is that a good pain or a bad pain? I should go to the doctor to check that out. So, um, doctors are very important, and I don't know where I would be without the doctors that
Yeah.
I've had. So I'm not
Yeah.
not negating that.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
it's okay to not want them and need them on
exactly.
a consistent level. Like, it can be a temporary
Hmm.
solution, not like so many people are just going through, like you said, years of this,
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely. And,
And
and
there's
now it's at
another
a
way.
point where I can actually, I am going to believe, just because my motor skills are still a little wonky, I'm going to see an occupational therapist, but it's not because I have to. I
Yeah.
can't survive. I can't. I've been working. I've been doing whatever, but now it's just like I want to kind of fix some things,
Mhm.
and it's not from pain. It's just from lack of utilizing the
Mhm.
muscles the way they were supposed to be utilized, and I think that is very key to get the right help when you need it.
Beautiful.
Hmm.
There are a lot of entrepreneurs and other women in business listening to these episodes. I'd love to hear because I love to hear about, like, oh, we're called and we have a sole purpose and you had a deep calling to go off and do your own thing. And that is brave. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
But I also like to talk about like the realities and the fears that come up and the blocks. Like, what were some of the blocks you had to leaving a comfortable job with a regular paycheck and being like, man, I'm called to do this thing. I'm going to go do it. And then you did it. So, what were some of the blocks you faced on the, you should see your face right now, LOL.
Yeah,
Some of the blocks.
it's very, very scary. Um, but I was just so convicted that I had to do this. I mean, there's some days where it's very exciting, and then there's some days where I'm just like, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do?
Yeah.
But then I have somebody um who come to my office or message me and be like, I feel great today.
Hmm.
Like, really? Like that is just amazing to me. But yeah, sometimes it's just like maybe your schedule isn't 100% booked.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have cancellations at the last minute, and it's not like when you're working for a big company. Oh, somebody canceled. Oh well, you know what I mean. You'll call
Yep.
and you'll reschedule them. But I mean, bottom line, this is how you're living. So um, you obviously want to when somebody cancels, you're just like, oh.
How
So
long have you been in business for yourself?
um technically since it's a little crazy because I did all the paperwork and stuff. A lot of my paperwork says May, but then I actually went to Greece to study some Mediterranean diet stuff, and
Cool.
so I would probably say maybe the end of July, beginning of August.
Of last year?
Mhm.
Oh, this is new for you.
And brand spanking new.
Oh, this is beautiful to hear. Okay. With that being said, too, what were some of the gifts you've received from going off and doing your own thing?
Um, Peace of mind that I can make my own schedule.
Mhm,
Um, the joy when people call or text me and say that they're feeling wonderful.
mhm,
And just like learning different things from the way people used to eat, different cultures and things like that, and trying to help them
mhm,
um, find some healthier alternatives. Um, yeah, it's just, and again, I've had people who the pain has stopped. I've had people who might have had issues with like vomiting or headaches, and they don't have it anymore.
mhm,
um, Issues where, not issues, this is actually a good thing, where you were able to, I mean, this happened to me as well. You used to be able to walk and walk and walk, and then all of a sudden it just kind of catches up with you, and you end up with joint pain or arthritis,
mm.
and like that. And we change how you're eating, and it's just like, oh, yeah, I went for a long walk today, and
Yes.
I was not in pain. I made it home and I was not in pain. Um, so we're talking about people who can go back to doing, like, whether it's running that they used to do, or even people that just need to increase their movement. Because as we get older, we have to remember that we really have to
Yeah.
focus on movement. Otherwise, we won't be able to. The older you get, you're more likely to fall. So
Mhm,
you need to keep your bones strong. And how do you do that? You do that by movement and by exercise.
mhm,
And so we need to be able to do that, so that when we look down the road, we can have healthy muscles,
mhm,
good bone mass,
mhm.
um, because we weren't in so much pain that we just had to sit all the time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's, like, one of our biggest issues in this country.
Yep,
Lack of
absolutely.
movement, and also, like, we do a lot of, like, the 1,000 hours outside challenge for my kids. We go to wild school and stuff, and the
Nice.
average statistics for children right now, the 2024 latest data that came in was the average child in America gets 7 minutes of outdoor time, and the average is 7 hours of screen time.
That's very scary.
I'm like, this is the next epidemic. It is now, right?
Right,
So
right. Totally.
hearing that from you, I'm sorry, well, hearing from you what you just said about like age and aging gracefully, really. What's the average demographic that you have? Like, what's the age range that comes to you the most? What, or have you seen like a new trend kind of open up? Maybe a younger generation, maybe an older generation come in. Who are you
Hmm.
working with?
Kind of everybody. I mean, my migraines are affecting everyone from little ones to elders.
Hmm.
Um, that's a really big one. There's a lot of joint pain because we either have those who don't move or we have those that just move so much that they've injured
Mm.
themselves and they've got to repair themselves and get rid of inflammation. Um, right now, I've been talking to some people about they're going to have surgery, so I want to talk to them about removing the inflammation prior to surgery so they can actually
Yes.
feel better and faster.
Yes.
So that's definitely something that's really coming along because people don't think about nutrition until like after they have had the surgery. But let's back up. If we get you more nutritionally sound before you have the procedure or whatever you're having, you're going to heal that much faster on
Yes.
the other side. So by getting rid of a lot of inflammation, we can help that healing process and get you back on your feet at the other on the other side.
Do you feel like in the word inflammation, the ideal around information is actually becoming more popular to talk about? I feel like, you know how there's like topics that just were not covered in the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s. You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden we're talking about inflammation, gut health, um, parasites. People weren't talking about parasites before. Now that's a huge topic, right? You can go down the rabbit hole on that one. What's another one?
Everybody
Central
living
nervous system.
with
Everyone's
getting
talking. Oh, go
Lyme
ahead.
disease.
Oh,
Everyone is
the
talking about
right.
Lyme disease, and I'm like, ooh. So
Right. So like there's all these new things that I think just like looking at the broader thing, like even people talk about the central nervous system more now, which is beautiful. It's like we're ready to heal these deeper
right.
things going on in our body and people are ready for that conversation. So I feel like people like you are going to be busy over the next decade.
I think so. I think so because I just really want people to feel better because I just know what it's like to just feel so bad that you just don't want to even get out of bed. And then I mean that it cycles. It goes from your body, and then it's like your whole mindset, and you're just like screw it. Like I just don't want to bother. So if we can get people feeling better and moving, they're going to be more likely to go outside, get some vitamin D, hang out with friends,
Yes.
do things like that, which is going to keep depression away, which
Yes.
is going to keep you moving and active and happy. Mhm.
So many things just went off in my brain when you were saying that. First, first it's like, I think people who sense and feel that it's more helpful to hear it from someone who's been through it.
Mhm.
So what's the message of hope you have for someone who's listening to this or someone who has a family member, right, who's going through this? In
Mhm.
that vicious cycle of body doesn't feel good and there's pain, which destroys the mental thing, which destroys their energy, which crushes their mind body spirit connection, and they're just in it. And it's a vicious cycle. What is your message of hope to them or your advice to them?
Come see me. Don't give up. Um, yeah, try it. Let's work with food. Again, I never negate doctors and medications. I'm not a doctor. I'm a dietitian. Hopefully I'll be your dietitian at some point, but
Mhm.
um, medication has its place, and sometimes you don't need all of the medication that's prescribed to you if you can make changes in how you're eating, how you're moving. I never recommend that someone stop taking medication
Mhm.
without
Mhm.
talking to their primary care physician. But I do encourage people to really listen to their body. If you need psych help, go get somebody to talk to. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
If if you have some um, food food ailments like hypertension, diabetes, go talk to a dietitian. Get some help. If you have these joint pains, I know that this works because
Mhm,
it worked for me.
mhm.
Um, so I'd love to share and to help you get off medications. And I mean, the truth of it is, your doctor doesn't want you on a bunch of medications either if you
Right,
don't have to be. So
right.
um, yeah, by working with your health team, we can figure something out.
I love this. And also, I heard you say you had an office. So, for people hearing this, I've got listeners a lot in New England, but I also have people like in Russia who are listening to me.
Oh,
Thank you, everyone, in all these countries. We have 20 different countries listening to this podcast. Woo!
I have
And
eight.
like
Okay, so excited.
and like 150 cities or something crazy like that. That was like the latest stats I just saw. So like we have some in person, like you offer in person, but do you also do like the telehealth kind of like online
I
information?
do. I do.
Great.
Yes, I definitely do. So I am based in Hanover at the Wellness Collective, beautiful new facility. It's about a year old. It's gorgeous. It's in Hanover, Mass, and so I'm there, and then I do some, like we were saying, I do virtual appointments as well.
Cool. What advice would you give to a woman who's hearing this, who's like about to jump and do her own thing and maybe get on the small business owner bandwagon? I like to call us soulpreneurs, like those of us who have a calling to step into something greater and they're like, I gotta do this thing. What's like your number one piece of advice you would give to someone on the edge of going off and doing their own thing?
I would say, um, going back to that old Suze Orman thing, she's like, make sure you have a couple of months in the bank so that you
Hmm.
can actually live,
Yep.
um, and make a detailed plan on what you'd like to do,
Mhm.
knowing that all those details in order is not going to happen, but you have to have some kind of plan to get started, and be patient and realize there are going to be tears. Like there's no way there's no way around it. There will be high highs and there will be low lows and there will be tears.
Yeah.
Get a support system. Hmm.
That is great advice. And I know you listened to the last episode we did too with the literally the last one we just had. I was asking her a similar question at the end of the show. And it's the same thing. Like, you guys back up. This is what I wrote about in my book. I'm like, I'm not going to be a coach who tells you to jump ship, go do it now. It's like you can, like, I use this analogy, like, well, build the raft to get to the island of the creation you're here to deliver. Like, it's okay for women to hear, like, keep your job that's paying the bills
Absolutely.
while you do this on the side and build up the muscle memory to
Absolutely.
work for yourself and not be distracted by this and that. A lot of people don't know what to do with themselves when they leave their corporate job.
Absolutely, because there are days where you're in the very beginning, you're going to be like, okay, I have no patients today, or no clients, or what have you. But it's time to get like your systems in place. You know, your client calls you,
Yep,
they make the appointment, like what are you going to do between there, how are you going to keep them interested and focused so that they're able to make the positive changes that you know helped you and that you know that you can help
yep,
them do. Hmm.
yep. I like that you brought up the emotion side too, because I always say to people, want to do the most advanced self-help journey ever? Open up a business. You're gonna face every block, every fear, every shadow you have.
Absolutely.
And it is an emotional ride to do this.
It is, but if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it in a minute.
Yes.
I would definitely do it in a minute because I just can't believe how much better I feel, and I want people to feel good so that they can do some fun things in their lives and
Yes.
enjoy their lives.
Yes. Can I ask, what's next for you? Do you have, I mean, you have this beautiful budding business, and that's what you're going to be focusing on for years now. I totally get it. But now that I feel like you're on year 2, right? You're kind of like in year 2.
Oh, no, I haven't even made it a full year yet because it was like June, so that I started. So I've just been very very blessed that I've had I've had clients and I'm getting referrals from clients.
Good for
So,
you.
but it's hard. So right now, I just really want to focus on getting fully booked on a regular basis
Yep.
and um yeah, and doing some fun things for me.
Yes. What are some fun things for you?
Um, well, I love to travel. I love doing crazy things. Like I've been parasailing. I've went on a hot air balloon ride for my birthday a couple of
Ooh,
so I just love doing stuff like that. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do next. But
yes.
yeah, I just gotta keep it exciting and don't lose yourself in the craziness of running a business because you'll
Absolutely. Oh my
paperwork
god.
to fill out. You will always have some art to fill out. You'll always have that. So,
I want to bring up your beautiful graphic that you sent me, and it says Healing by the Forkful. Oh, I just love the name of that. Is that
mhm.
a program that you run, or is that your business name? Like, what's the
That's my
healing by?
business name, Healing by
Oh,
the Forkful. Hmm.
I love that. The minute when I saw you, I went and looked at your stuff right away, and I saw that graphic, and I was like, that is brilliant. It's so brilliant. Good name. Good for you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, one last question is like, I love to ask, like, what is a current block that you're having for business? Like, something you're kind of like, about, or something you're like, I've got to tackle this project, or something
Um,
on your to-do list.
the to-do list is you're just pulled in so many different directions. And what I've recently started doing within the last couple of last month, maybe month and a half, is that I have a list. I know I have a list, but I pick three things.
Yes.
I do those three things, and I don't do something else until those three things are
Hmm.
done. Because when you're doing this, there's so many things, shiny objects that you're like, I need to do, I need to do, I need to do
Hmm.
this. But you're never going to get to them all unless you sit down and then you focus on those three tasks, and that's what I've decided. There's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
coming out um, multitasking and how you really can't multitask like we've been doing the last, I don't know, 10 years or so.
Hmm.
So I've really taken that to heart and just kind of reined in what is the most important thing right now,
Yeah.
what is going to help move me along the fastest,
Hmm.
and those are the three things that I work on.
That's brilliant. Years ago when I was starting, I used to have these like, I'd have this list, and it was like 33 things. And then I'd be so exhausted
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
from
And what
putting
gets
that list
done?
together,
Yes, exactly. You get the little
right?
bit and you're like, oh my God, and then you start crying because you're like, how am I going to do that? Because when you're working for a company, you don't get all this, oh, I can do it tomorrow, I'll be back.
Yeah,
But if you're
right.
not proactive in your business, it may not be here tomorrow. So you really
Yeah.
have to figure out what's going to
Yep.
move your business along and help the most people and help you bring some
Yep.
cash to the door. Yeah.
And it was the moving forward being like, okay, what are the actual like eventually years after that I shifted to like, what are the top 3 things that need to get done this week?
Hmm.
You
Yep.
know? And then you can just focus on that. And then what I noticed with that is that I'll also do the other things like I'm a generator in human design. I don't know if have you had your astrology done? Do you know what your sign is and your
I'm
human
a Leo.
design? You're a Leo. Of course you are. You look like a Leo in that picture. I married a Leo. My husband's a Leo, so I'm a Capricorn. He's a Leo, so we really get each other's intensity, let's say. But when I learned I was a generator in human design, I'm like, I have to like have the energy to respond to that task or it ain't happening. It's like, you just try to push something that it isn't it. I need to almost like get myself in front of this and be like, does it feel good in my body to work on this right now? So I started kind of navigating things through that. And it was amazing to see how much smoother
Like,
projects would get done. Things on the to-do list, just being like, So even anyone hearing that, doesn't matter what you are, what your sign is, what your anything is, but kind of just like looking at that and being like, oh, what do I actually have the energy for today?
And knowing when in the day is the best time for
Yes.
do it. 'Cause some mornings
Yes.
I can be super productive, and there are other days where it's like I am, sitting in my office at like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, I can do this. I have to do this. I can think about this. Like, and
Yes.
you just get going, and next thing you know, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And you're like, yeah, you probably should go to bed about now.
Yeah.
But you know, so
Yeah.
you have to keep that in mind when the creativity just comes. You
Yep.
have to you have to catch it.
And that is entrepreneurship, I would say, in a nutshell, because
Yep,
we have to
absolutely.
be the ones really like in charge of and leading the way, leading ourselves, having
Mhm,
discipline,
mhm,
discernment, right? To
absolutely.
get these things done and to know when to do them. I also like to help my clients with like seasonally figuring out what makes sense. And for you going into like, as you head into your second year, you pass that year and you move forward, like what projects are best done in the winter?
Mhm.
And what are the things that you want to do when it's nice out in the summer? What's the stuff that you don't want to do in the summer? And really starting to like organize your year out,
If
year
you don't
out.
need to do it all, what you're just like, I can't. I need to delegate it. It needs to go out.
1000%. What are some of the things that you like to have delegated?
I've had some help with like um graphics. I've had some help with insurance,
Hmm.
figure out insurance things. Um, so I will be taking insurance shortly for
Right.
some of the protocol. Um, yeah, just knowing your limit, like,
Hmm.
I can't do that. I'm a
Yep.
dietitian. That's just out of my
Out of my
wheelhouse.
wheelhouse,
Mhm,
out of
mhm.
the genius zone. Yep. That is a beautiful piece of advice to give people, actually. Okay. See, I told you we were just going to talk, 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 talk. It's almost 4 o'clock. Oh my God. Okay. Where can people find you? What's the best way? I'm going to put your website link or whatever link you want me to put in the show notes so they'll be able to click it. Anyone listening now, go to the show notes. But what do you have, social media? How can they find you?
So my website is Healing by the Forkful. It is in process, but it's one of those things like we were talking about. Like you can continually work and work and work and work on something, and it's never going to be perfect. So there's a lot of stuff up there, but it's not perfect. But
Oh, the
you
website?
yeah,
Oh my God. That's an
yeah,
on-running joke with business owners.
absolutely,
You could look at your
absolutely,
website every week and be like, I need to fix this. I need to fix this.
absolutely. So
Oh, yeah.
my website is up. It's healingbytheforkful.com. I am on Instagram, Healing
I'm
by the
a,
Forkful.
yeah, I'm looking it up right now because I don't, do I have
Yeah,
healing by,
and I have a
there you
podcast.
are. Oh, I just followed you. Yes, my friend. And
Yeah.
she has a podcast. What are your episodes like? What do you talk about on your podcast?
So they're actually mini episodes. I talked to some to people who have done the protocol and they have had success with it. So you hear about what was really bothering them, what they were having issues with, what they how the process of following the protocol was for them,
Mhm.
and how they're feeling now.
Cool.
Um, so
So
it's
if someone was like really curious, going and listening to your podcast episodes would be helpful for them to get
mhm,
a
mhm.
like a broader look at that.
Yeah, yeah, a snippet of somebody else's life that has been helped.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. So everyone, we got the name and we're going to put your website in here. This has been so exciting and just so inspiring to hear other women in my hometown doing the damn thing. And I am so excited. Hopefully, we'll have you back on here again. Maybe we'll hear from you next year and check in with you and see how you're doing.
Sounds
Um,
great. Here's to it.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Royletta, and I'm glad we had this time together. Thank you to our listeners, and we will see you on our next episode. Bye.